Welcome back to Talk Tickers, everybody, where we like to take those earnings calls and really break them down.
Absolutely.
Give you the information.
Give you the insights
that you need.
Totally.
We are diving today into Blue Owl Capital's Q4 and full year 2024 report.
All right.
Thinking here, alternative investments, credit, real assets.
Yeah.
All those areas where institutions park their big bucks.
Big money.
Yeah.
Institutional capital.
You know, what's really interesting to me is Blue Owl's seeing this consistent growth.
Yeah.
Even with all the market volatility.
It's true.
Globally.
They're not just surviving, they're thriving.
Yeah, they are. They're not just surviving, they're thriving.
Yeah, and it looks like they're doing it by strategically adapting to this changing financial landscape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why don't we give our listeners kind of a quick summary of Blue Owl's performance before we get into
Let's do it.
the nitty-gritty.
All right, so Blue Owl had a record year in terms of fundraising.
Okay.
They brought in a total of $27.5 billion.
Wow.
Which is a 75% increase.
That's huge.
Compared to 2023.
Yeah.
And their fourth quarter alone brought in $9.5 billion.
Really?
And they also closed on the acquisition of IPI, a digital infrastructure giant, on January 3rd of this year.
Huge.
This acquisition brought their total assets under management, or AUM, to a whopping $265 billion.
So those are some pretty impressive numbers.
They are.
It seems like investors are really buying into their vision.
Yeah.
And they've also achieved at least 25% growth in what they call fee-related earnings, or FRE.
Every year.
Every year.
Since they went public.
Since going public.
Which is huge.
That's huge.
Especially considering they've managed to navigate inflation, geopolitical turmoil.
Oh, yeah.
And a pretty rocky market.
A rocky market indeed.
Yeah.
It really does speak, I think, to the strength of their business model. And their focus on permanent capital.
Right.
Meaning they're attracting investors.
Yeah.
Who are in it for the long haul.
Long term.
Which is always a good sign.
Always a good sign.
That stability allows them to kind of ride out the bumps. In the market a little bit.
To ride out the volatility.
So let's dig a little deeper, shall we?
Let's dig in.
One of the key themes that stands out to me is Blue Owl's commitment to innovation and diversification.
I like it.
They're playing in some hot areas like direct lending.
Okay.
And that's where they lend directly to companies instead of going through a bank.
Right.
They're also big in GP stakes, meaning they invest in other private equity firms.
Yep.
And then there's net lease real estate, where they own properties and lease them out long term.
So they've got a lot of irons in the fire.
They do.
They aren't putting all their eggs in one basket.
They're not afraid to kind of push the boundaries either.
Right.
Look at some of the recent acquisitions, like in the alternative credit space.
Yep.
And digital infrastructure, especially their focus on data centers.
Absolutely.
They're also expanding into insurance solutions.
Yeah.
They're really building this comprehensive suite of services.
It's a one-stop shop.
Well, let's talk about that IPI acquisition for a second.
Yeah.
That was a major move.
It was.
Really kind of puts them right at the forefront of this digital infrastructure boom.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody's talking about AI, cloud computing these days, and all those technologies rely on this massive network of data centers.
Network of data centers, yeah.
So
it's a smart move, for sure.
Smart move.
They're essentially betting on the infrastructure of the future.
Right.
And it fits perfectly into their strategy of diversification, allowing them to tap into a whole new revenue stream.
Exactly.
That's likely to see significant growth in the coming years.
Absolutely. So let's dive into their performance in some of these key areas, starting with direct lending.
Okay.
Even with a relatively quiet M&A market.
Right.
Their direct lending business originated over $13 billion in loans in Q4.
Wow.
And they've actually doubled their net deployment year over year.
That's remarkable.
It's remarkable.
Especially considering the market conditions.
Considering the market conditions.
Yeah, it tells me they have strong relationships.
Yeah.
And a real knack for finding attractive deals.
Yeah.
Even when competition is fierce.
It's not just about lending the money, though, is it?
No.
And it seems like they're providing these more comprehensive financial solutions.
Yeah, it's not just about providing capital.
Right.
It's about becoming a trusted partner.
Right.
And they're not limiting themselves to just corporate lending.
Right.
They see huge potential in what's called Main Street lending.
Main Street lending?
Exactly.
What is that?
So they're targeting areas like consumer spending, small businesses, and residential finance. areas that traditional banks
Right.
might not be serving as effectively.
So they're filling a gap
They are
in the market.
filling a gap.
It seems like a smart move to kind of diversify
It is,
and tap into those underserved markets.
for sure.
But doesn't that come with a certain level of risk as well?
Well, yeah,
I mean, these are very different types of loans
of course.
compared to their traditional
Right.
corporate lending.
You raise a good point.
Yeah.
There's definitely a different risk profile
Right.
associated with Main Street lending.
Okay.
But Blue Owl seems to be approaching it strategically,
Okay.
leveraging their expertise
Right.
in credit assessment and risk management
Yeah.
to mitigate those risks.
Okay, so it sounds like they're being pretty careful.
They are.
Let's
Yeah.
shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
Let's talk about their GP stakes strategy.
Sure.
This is where they invest in the managers
Yeah.
of other private equity firms.
That's right.
Kind of like a bet on the continued growth
It is
of the private markets.
a bet on the private market
It's a whole.
as a whole.
And it seems to be paying off.
Yeah, it seems to be working out pretty well.
In 2024, they distributed $2.4 billion to their GP stakes fund investors.
That's a significant return.
That's huge.
It shows they have a good eye
Yeah.
for identifying talented fund managers
Yeah.
who can deliver strong returns.
Okay, so they're doing well in direct lending,
Uh-huh.
expanding into new markets.
Yep.
Their GP stake strategy is thriving.
It is.
What else?
Well, you can't talk about Blue Owl without mentioning their dominance
Right.
in the net lease real estate market.
Right. They're really killing it in that area.
They are.
Yeah.
They deployed over $7.5 billion in 2024,
Wow.
acquiring properties at an average cap rate of 8%.
Okay.
But here's the impressive part.
Okay.
They're selling assets at a 5.9% cap rate,
So they're making a profit.
locking in a really healthy profit margin.
What's their secret sauce? What are they doing?
Their expertise in net lease real estate is definitely a factor,
Okay.
but it's also their scale
Okay.
and the relationships they've built over the years.
Right.
They can source and execute deals
Right.
that many other firms just can't.
Yeah.
They have a deep understanding of the market
Yeah.
and a knack
Mm.
for identifying undervalued assets.
So they're finding those hidden gems,
They are
buying low, selling high.
buying low and selling high.
Classic real estate strategy.
Exactly.
But they're not just relying on existing strategies, are they?
You're right.
It looks like they're constantly kind of innovating
They are constantly innovating
and expanding their offerings.
and expanding their offerings.
In fact, they've got a couple of new products
Yeah,
hitting the market in the first half of 2025.
that's right.
One is a commingled real estate credit
Mhm.
product. The other is a new alternative credit product.
Okay.
We'll have to wait and see what those entail. But clearly, they're not resting on their laurels,
They are not.
always looking for new opportunities.
Always looking for the next thing.
That's what we like to see.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
I think it's time to take a look at their financials.
Okay.
See what kind of...
Let's see how these impressive results
Yeah.
translate to the bottom line.
Let's crunch some numbers.
All right.
All right, so let's crunch some numbers. First up, management fees.
Okay.
They're up 30% year over year.
All right.
What's really striking to me is 91% of those fees
Wow.
come from permanent capital vehicles.
That's huge.
It's huge.
That is a huge indicator of stability in their earnings.
Yeah.
It shows that they're attracting those long-term investors,
Right.
providing a really reliable source of income,
Yeah,
regardless of market fluctuations.
exactly.
So it gives them a really solid foundation for
Yeah.
future growth
Exactly.
and allows them to weather those economic storms.
And it looks like they're sharing that success with their investors.
They are.
They've announced a dividend of
Mhm.
90 cents per share for 2025.
Okay.
That's a 25% jump from the previous year.
That's a significant increase.
It is.
It signals confidence in their business
Yeah.
and a commitment to returning capital to their shareholders.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that investors will be paying attention to.
Okay, so we've gone through Blue Owl's record fundraising,
Uh-huh.
their strategic acquisitions, their impressive performance
Yeah.
across different areas, and their strong financials.
Yep.
What's the big takeaway for our listeners? What does it
Oh.
all mean?
Blue Owl is a company to watch,
Yeah.
especially if you're interested in the future of alternative investments.
Okay.
They're not just managing money, they're shaping the future of finance.
That's a bold statement.
It is,
It is.
but I think it's true.
It sounds like they're not just playing the game.
Right.
They're changing the rules.
For changing the rules of the game. They're a force to be reckoned with.
They are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I think one of the most interesting things about Blue Owl is that they're not afraid to take calculated risks and explore new opportunities. You know, their expansion into Main Street lending and their big bet on digital infrastructure are prime examples of that.
It's like they're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the world of alternative investments.
Exactly. They're not content with just doing what everyone else is doing. They're looking for ways to innovate and create value in new and exciting ways.
Well, folks, you heard it here first. Blue Owl is a company to keep your eye on.
Absolutely.
And now, for the part of the show you've all been waiting for.
All right.
Or this not financial advice segment.
Here we go.
Where we throw out a wild but potentially lucrative trade idea. Remember, this is just for fun.
Don't actually do this.
We're not suggesting anyone actually do this. Always do your own research. Consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
This is all hypothetical.
Okay, so the disclaimer is out of the way.
All right.
Hit me with your crazy idea.
Okay, so we've talked about Blue Owl's dominance in net lease real estate, right? Buying low, selling high.
They're making a killing.
But what if they took it a step further?
Okay, I like where this is going.
What if they decided to create a real estate investment trust? A REIT, specifically focused on net lease properties.
A Blue Owl net lease REIT. I like it.
So they could bundle a portfolio of their highest performing net lease properties into this REIT and offer shares to the public. This would allow individual investors to get a piece of the action and participate in this lucrative world of net lease real estate.
That's actually a brilliant idea.
Is it?
They already have the expertise.
They do.
The track record and the infrastructure in place.
The whole 9 yards?
They could easily become a major player in the REIT market.
I think so.
And think about the potential benefits for Blue Owl. They could use this REIT to further expand their net lease portfolio, recycle capital, and create a new revenue stream.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everyone involved.
For sure.
Blue Owl gets to grow their business. And investors get access to a potentially high-yielding investment opportunity.
Now, of course, there are always risks involved with any investment. But this Blue Owl net lease REIT idea is definitely something to think about.
It's a bold move.
It is a bold move.
But hey, Blue Owl is all about bold moves.
Exactly.
So there you have it, folks. Our This Is Not Financial Advice segment for today.
Remember, this is just a fun thought experiment.
A fun thought experiment.
We're not saying it's going to happen or that it's a good investment idea.
But it's always interesting to think outside the box. And explore those possibilities. And who knows, maybe Blue Owl is already thinking about this.
Maybe they are.
They do seem to be one step ahead of the game.
They do.
Okay, so it is time to wrap up this deep dive into Blue Owl Capital. We've covered a lot of ground today, from their record fundraising.
We have.
Strategic acquisitions, to their impressive financial performance.
Absolutely.
And innovative approach to alternative investments.
It's been fascinating to kind of break down their earnings call and really get a sense of their vision and strategy. They're clearly a company on the move.
They are.
Constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the space.
And they're doing it with a level of sophistication and a focus on long-term value creation that's really impressive.
I think one of the key takeaways here is that Blue Owl is not just reacting to market trends. They're actively shaping them. Like their early adoption of strategies like direct lending and their bold move into digital infrastructure are prime examples of that forward-thinking approach.
They're definitely not afraid to take calculated risks and venture into uncharted territory. And it seems to be paying off.
It does.
I mean, they've consistently delivered strong returns for their investors, and they're showing no signs of slowing down.
I think their success comes down to a few key factors. First, they have a deep understanding of the markets they operate in. Second, they have a disciplined approach to risk management. And third, they're not afraid to innovate and adapt to the ever-changing financial landscape.
It's a powerful combination.
It is.
And one that's likely to continue to serve them well in the years to come.
Absolutely.
Blue Owl is a company to keep a close eye on.
For sure.
They're setting a new standard for what's possible in the world of alternative investments.
Well said.
Well, with that, we will wrap up this episode of Talk Tickers.
All right.
Remember, everybody, always do your own research. Consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
This is not financial advice.
This is Talk Tickers signing off.